Show me the way to Plough Lane. I'm tired and I want to go home. I had a football ground 29 years ago, and I want one of my own. Whenever I may roam to Selhurst Park again, you will always hear me singing this song. Show me the way to Plough Lane. Show me the way to Plough Lane. I'm tired and I want to go home. I had a football ground 29 years ago, and I want one of my own. Whenever I may roam to Selhurst Park again, you will always hear me singing this song. Show me the way to Plough Lane.
And a big welcome to the new Plough Lane Stadium here in Plough Lane. I can't believe actually saying that because of the history of where we've been and the places we've travelled and the dreams we've had of coming back to this place and having our own home. 29 years in the making, this new home for Wimbledon, and obviously it's not going to be a proper opening until you are here. There's 9,000 Dons going to be here roaring around this stadium, and that's going to be the proper opening. So tonight we just thought we'd put together something special with lots of input from you and special guests to try and mark this occasion and really bring this whole thing to life. And my name's Chris Phillips. I'll be here for the duration up till kickoff, and I'm joined by a couple of Dons legends who are John Scales. How you doing, John?
I'm really well, thanks. Yeah, very well.
Fantastic to have you here.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. It's a historic moment, isn't it? So
it is.
We're privileged to be here. We're gutted that the fans aren't here alongside us, but I mean the effort that everybody's made to put the pieces together and make this as a memorable evening as possible has been a tribute to everybody involved in the club.
We should say that we, under regulations, we have to wear our masks here, but I think we can afford to get a little snapshot of you, John, with your mask just pulled down, just to prove it is you. There he is, Scalesy himself.
It's definitely me.
And of course, alongside John is Terry Gibson. Terry, fantastic to have you here. What do you think, mate?
Oh, it's astonishing. I mean, it's again, I agree with John. It's a privilege to be one of the few people that are allowed here tonight, and hopefully we can bring a taste of what it feels like to be here. And we all can't wait for the ground to be full.
Yeah.
And for everybody in particular that's contributed to making this possible, because there's been so many people over the years. It's an astonishing story. It's almost a miracle, but nothing is ever beyond this football club. So I'm glad to be here.
We'll chat more about it, but we're going to start a little bit further up the road from here. A very special place, of course, and myself and Scalesy wandered up there earlier and just had a little chat about the reverberations around. So John, we're at this monolith of love or monolith of sadness, I don't know what it is, but on the other side somewhere there's something that reflects the moment you came on at the cup final, up front.
I don't think so.
A little tiny bit. There's a bit of a sound wave that says John Scales is on. Here we are at the old ground, a place that is full of echoes of history and family and intellectual property, but how does it make you feel seeing it now as a bunch of flats, basically?
It feels strange. It always does. This was such an enormous part of my football career and my life as well. And to come back here, I came to the unveiling of this monolith, and it was, a strange, surreal feeling, going back behind there and seeing what happened to the old Plough Lane. I mean, funny enough, there used to be a sort of a court in here, and we used to train just in this little sort of front section, and then the stadium behind. And I don't know, it felt odd, moving away. The fact that we went to Selhurst Park, a stadium that's not far away, but just soulless for us, for the fans, for the players. Didn't feel comfortable, didn't feel right, and seeing Plough Lane that, everybody knew was a terrible sort of place for facilities for the, I remember the tunnel, leading out from the dressing rooms that were, awful and cold and stone floored and just one bath and maybe a shower if you were lucky. That tight tunnel to get out onto the pitch, but there was just something magical about it. And just coming back here and standing here just brings back all those memories and evokes so much for me as a player, because this place meant so much. So yeah, turning around and looking behind and seeing the flats, it's a strange feeling.
You played in some of the biggest, for some of the biggest clubs in the world, Liverpool, Tottenham, with their palatial surroundings. But a place like this, you're very tight with the fans and you feel closely knit to the fans, right? Did you feel like that, you know, this was home, proper home? And when you left, how did it affect the dynamic of the way the team played? You know, as opposed to playing out what you knew was Hello Turf home to just another stadium?
Well, I mean, the first thing was, you know, Wimbledon, I think we needed every trick in the book we could sort of lay our hands on. You know, we used to leave the grass would grow longer, we'd make it wider for some games, shorter for other games. You know, as I said before, you know, the tunnel, the dressing rooms, the cold water, we wouldn't have hot water, we'd have music blaring, you'd have everything. But I think it was just the intimacy of this place. The fact that, you know, even after a game, we'd go down and have a drink in the bar, Nelson's, it became a club later on in the evening. It was just, you know, all the fans came down, we'd all sit and chat and discuss the game. You know, you felt like a family, you felt like they shared the game with you more intimately, I think, than anywhere else I ever went and played football. And the fact that you heard almost, you know, every word that was said by the side of the pitch, it just had a connection, the players and the fans at Plough Lane, and we turned that to our advantage, you know, to such an enormous degree. And I think when we left, that was taken away, and it took us quite some time to sort of adjust to the surroundings of Selhurst Park. We never felt comfortable there, really. So home, being Plough Lane, was as much about the psychology of what it meant to the opposing team that came here. We just had a smile on our faces when we knew, you know, how they were going to be feeling the reaction in the tunnel, coming out on the pitch in front of that crowd, and we did, and we just felt that was our home, and that's what made us special as a team. And of course, the history of the previous teams that have got us through the leagues and up into the top flight when I arrived, yeah, it was special memories.
Just jumping forward slightly, when the bulldozers came in here, the old Plough Lane, and the place was levelled, ready for flats, that must have struck a chord with you, an emotion inside you, because of all the great memories here and playing here and what it meant to be at home. How did you feel when you saw that, presumably on the news, or probably somebody called you and said that?
Yeah, it was odd, because I'd sort of become a little bit disconnected, I think, with the club at that time. You know, I'd moved away and finished my playing career in 2001. And it felt odd hearing about the demise of the club, demise of the stadium. So symbolic of the sort of final chapter of closing of such a unique and special place for me and for so many people around this whole area. Every Wimbledon supporter, I think, realised that just the what it stood for, what it epitomised, the spirit, the togetherness, felt like, is that ever going to come back? So I think that moment, seeing it, I can't remember where I saw, the levelling of the stadium and everything else, but just thinking back, I know it was a sort of pivotal moment in a chapter of my life, and for everybody else associated with the club, it was closed. And never did I think for a minute that things would turn round so enormously and significantly, and the long journey ahead to where we find ourselves. But yeah, that moment was sort of gut-wrenching, but not half as much as for I think every single fan that rued the day that we left in 91.
But the good news is you're back in the neighbourhood again. Amazing. So you're local again.
So I'm up the road, up in the Crooked Billet, up by the Hand in Hand and the Crooked Billet pubs. Great spot to be. That holds special fond memories for me. So being just down the road here and being back at Plough Lane, seeing the surroundings and looking forward, I suppose, to the next chapter for Wimbledon.
Well, that's good to catch up with John back at the old Plough Lane. Some beautiful flats there now. Did I say the word beautiful? Sacrilegious. But we had a good chat about the old times there. And what struck me actually while that was playing is listening to you and Terry. Neither of you could really remember playing the last game at Plough Lane. It just sort of happened, didn't it? And then it was gone.
We were just talking then, and
and trying to remember back, did we know we were leaving Plough Lane? Definitely. No, we didn't. We weren't quite sure. There was rumours, there was all sorts of things being said. You never quite knew where you stood with Sam, the owner at the time anyway, or any time when we were at the club. So it was bizarre. Looking back, it was an incredible moment in Wimbledon's history. But the fans came on the pitch. I think they'd got wind of rumours that maybe we were leaving, or maybe this could possibly be the last game. So I don't know, but looking back, it's 29 years ago, and you think that we were going to move to Crystal Palace, Sellers Park for just, I don't know, a couple of years. I think by the time we got there, we thought, well, this is just a couple of years. They're going to sort something out. We're going to be back in Merton because there'd been speculation about that before. Maybe something would be done with Plough Lane, because nothing happened to Plough Lane for a long time. So, yeah, it was a strange time. So that game doesn't particularly stand out, and we lost it as well. And a certain man scored a hat-trick. So you look back, and it wasn't a great game from that point of view. I think some fans came on the pitch. I was quicker to get off the pitch to save the embarrassment, I think, from the defeat. Yeah. But Ian Wright, I think he scored one of his greatest goals he's put down. The second goal he scored that night, he lifted it over the defender, not me, I remind you before you say. But he lifted it over and then volleyed it in. Phenomenal goal. But yeah, as Terry said earlier, special place for us. And it just, we used it to our advantage. We everything about it, the opposition hated coming to play at Plough Lane. It was bad enough for us, but we knew our way around there. We knew what it held for us. We knew it was an advantage. The groundsman would leave the grass longer, we'd cut it shorter, we'd narrow the pitch in, make everything work for us, possibly could. And we relished that. And it was just, we saw the humorous side of it. We saw the intensity that it brought to us as a team before the game, all sorts. So yeah, in so many ways, Plough Lane meant everything. And the move to Sellers Park was tough. It was really difficult.
Let's bring Terry in on this one. Terry, you played at Manchester United, and here you are playing at Plough Lane. Quite a cultural difference, especially, we were just talking about our ramshackle old ground it was, but it was home, and it was beautiful. But how did it touch your heart, say, compared with some of the palatial places you've played?
Oh, well, it was the worst stadium in the league by a million miles, and all of my former teammates from other clubs that I played for were glad that they only had to play there once a year. We had the good fortune to play there 22 times a year, and as John said quite rightly, we made it our own. It was a non-league ground, and it's the club had had such a speedy rise from non-league football to the top level of English football that the ground didn't keep up with that pace. It was the team, the club in general, punched above its weight for so many years, and the ground was neglected. But it was, as John said, it was great for us to use to our advantage. I know full well from, as I said, players that we played against that I knew well, players that I grew up with in some cases, used to just come, their main objection when they came to Plough Lane was to go away in one piece. So it was unique. It was unique to us. The story, I tell a story that when I joined Wimbledon from Manchester United, I came because I wanted to play first team football. I came because the manager had already bought me before at Coventry. And then when he asked me to join Wimbledon, I, no doubts, I wanted to make take the chance. And we met for a pub lunch in Wimbledon Village. I'd never been to Plough Lane. I'd never been to the training ground. And Bobby Gould treated us, me and my wife, to a nice meal in the pub in Wimbledon Village. I agreed terms, and then he brought me down and showed me Plough Lane.
I was going to say the village versus Plough Lane was
I know.
Completely different ends of the scale.
And little did I know that the training ground was even worse. But it was, we used it as one of our big tools. It was a massive advantage to us. The playing surface was great. The supporters were great. It was in a massive stadium, so it didn't need to be, it didn't need 20, 30,000 in, 10,000. It was a great atmosphere, and privileged to have had some memorable games there for, either myself or for victories that we had as a team.
Well, the supporters are still great, and I'm sure that if you come here on a match day when they're back here, you'll see some familiar faces still,
always,
Terry.
Always
you know?
have done.
Always, yeah.
I mean, I've been fortunate. I'd like to help out when I can and attend events and stuff, and I still see the same people. They've all grown up, all grown older, of course. Some were children and now they're adults and stuff like that. But it's 29 years, so it's hardly surprising. But it's just a lovely place to come and watch, you know, Wimbledon, wherever they've played in recent years. It's a nice place. You know, you're appreciated for what you did from your time playing for the club. And as ex-players, we appreciate what everybody has done to bring Wimbledon Football Club back to the Borough of Merton as close to the old Plough Lane as is possible.
Couldn't get more close, really,
Exactly.
could we? Well, we've seen those old classic videos of you guys sloshing around in the mud in the mid-'80s. I mean, looking at this, I mean, it is the proverbial carpet, isn't it? I want to go out there and, like, just lay on it and sensually touch it or something. It's such a beautiful surface, and I mean, football's changed a lot. There's no way you'd accept a muddy old pitch like that these days.
Yeah.
But do you look at that kind of longingly and think, wouldn't mind a kick about on there,
yeah,
or
of course,
those days over for
the
you
balls
guys?
and everything else, and the laws of the game have changed, which might have harmed us back in the day, if to be honest. There's no tackling from behind, the offside trap, Scalesy
with
with
red
his
card central,
pace
wasn't
and
it?
our back four playing about a yard the other side of the halfway line and catching everyone offside. And you know, it's great. I mean, it looks like AstroTurf, the playing surface here. The stadium's incredible, but you know, it's to be fair, the playing surface at Plough Lane was good. It was really good.
Yeah.
You know, I can't remember the groundsman, but it was always in good nick. And you know, as John said, we adapted it to, you know, we grew the grass a bit longer in certain areas of the pitch, particularly near the corners, so it would slow down when we defenders hit one of their famous channel balls and give us strikers a chance of catching it. But it was all those little ploys that, you know, not from just when the time we were at the club, but, you know, previously as well. You know, we were both fortunate to join when they were in the top division.
Yeah.
But there's so many people, you know, did so much work. Dave Bassett, of course, as manager before Bobby Gould, and some of those players that thankfully we were able to play with in the top division. But some of them had left the club or on the verge of leaving the club, and everything they did contributed to, you know, to where we were when we joined Wimbledon.
We're going to chat more with Terry and John a little bit later on, and we want to turn our attention to you. If I can see anything through my steamed up glasses here, you find wearing these masks, you can't. If you wear glasses, you cannot see where you're going or what you're doing.
No, I've done that. Shopping and
that's
the supermarkets.
Can't see a thing. Get the wrong product. But one thing we have done, we spent the last week putting together some really interesting things, and we want to involve you, the fans, and so we want to make this quite simple. So what we want from you is input messages. Tell us where you're listening from, where you're watching from, memories of Plough Lane. Just keep it short and sweet, and of course keep it clean. Otherwise we can't put it out. But all you have to do is to tweet at AFC Wimbledon, and we will then take care of the rest. So let's get your videos on at AFC Wimbledon, and we will take care of the rest. And I hope to see your messages coming up. Now, we have some messages to get through at the moment, and we got one from Dave Anderson, who is in the USA, and we heard from him and a few other guys, and one of these guys' old teammates. Take a look.
Hi, I just want to say thank you for welcoming our family into yours. You know, they say it's the hope that kills you, and we've all seen enough 1-0 leads evaporate to know the ways that's true, but it is also the hope that saves you. When the FA said your existence was not in the wider interests of football, you held on to hope and kept going anyway, and when they said Plough Lane was gone and never coming back, you held on to hope and kept working for it. The stadium is a monument to what communities can accomplish when they stick together and refuse to give up hope, so thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing the world the way to Plough Lane.
Hi everyone, it's Dave Anderson here. I'll be at home. Tried my best to get in the ground like I'm sure everyone did, but unsuccessfully. I'll be at home with a beer, so I'm just practicing tonight to make sure that it's okay. And I'll be very, very proud, you know, as I'm sure we all will. I've only played a little bit in it, but for all of you guys who have just been unbelievable for everything that's gone on at AFC Wimbledon and to eventually get the Holy Grail, I doff my hat to you, and I'll raise my glass tonight and tomorrow night. Womble till I die. enjoy it. What an achievement. I nearly swore there, but what an achievement.
Hi guys, Johnny Mania. Just a little video to say cannot wait for tomorrow. I'll be tuned in early doors, probably with a couple of these bad boys. Finally see the Dons return home. What a story, what a journey. One I'm proud to be part of, play my little bit. Just been quality just to see the club rise up and do what they've done. So once again, here's to tomorrow. And let's have a little reminisce. A few goals I've scored. Come on, you Dons.
Well done to everyone concerned with getting Wimbledon back where they belong at Plough Lane. I'll be watching. First game. Let's hope we have success and you enjoy it as much as we did. All the best.
We are back.
We are home.
We are Wimbledon.
Some messages there. Clearly, my glasses were so steamed up that I thought Dave Anderson was stuck in America. It was John Green, of course. But to be fair, Dave could have been out there playing a golf tournament and got stuck. That would be more like him. He's definitely going to be on the golf course. Yeah, to see Dave there at the end brings me nicely to 1988 and you guys' involvement. I mean, do you guys all keep in touch and get together? I mean, it looks like Dave might have been out socialising there, having a ruby or something.
Yeah, I think it is difficult, but there have been special events where we have been fortunate to get together, but I don't think as a group that we'll ever all be together.
We're seeing images now, the players arriving at the new stadium, which is quite something, and it's all very stage managed and very beautifully managed tonight because, of course, it's still very much, Plough Lane beta here, things have got to be tested, things are going to be judged. So it's all neatly and beautifully organised, and there's the players coming in for the big game. Of course, we will be with you right up until kick-off, and then we urge you to jump on iFollow to watch the game, and you can do that through the AFC Wimbledon website, of course. So we thought we'd look back on the history. We're not going to do 10 bits of history. We're not going to do 20. We're going to do 19 historical facts about SW19. Take a look.
With Wimbledon FC without a pitch, council-backed Wimbledon Borough, also known as Wimbledon Wednesday when playing midweek, emerged in Coppermill Lane. The same site on which the Greyhound Stadium was later built in 1928, and where AFC Wimbledon have just returned home. Dropping the borough suffix, Wimbledon moved 250 yards up Plough Lane to a piece of disused swampland, on the crossroads with Hayden's Road and Durnsford Road. It would be their home for the next 79 years. Their first game ended in a 2-2 draw against Carshalton Athletic on the 7th of September 1912. Wimbledon purchased the South Stand from Clapton Orient's Millfields ground, where it had already seen 17 years' service. Maintained, and with copious coats of blue paint, it withstood World War II bomb damage to remain proudly until the stadium was finally demolished in 2002. The ground's record attendance, as 18,080 squeezed into Plough Lane for a third-round amateur cup tie against renowned naval giant killers HMS Victory. Doc Dowden scored twice and provided the other for Turner, as Wimbledon scuppered the Sailors to win 3-0. Having already funded substantial ground developments, benevolent Chairman Sidney Black purchased the freehold of Plough Lane for £8,250 and gifted it to the club, with the covenant of a preemption clause of sporting use to try and protect it from any future asset stripping.
Protect it from any future asset stripping. You've got to laugh. Oh, don't laugh at that, but that's kind of ironic, isn't it?
It was ironic, yeah.
Well, more to come from the history books a little bit later on, but we are very much back to the future at AFC Wimbledon. The new kit has had a little bit of our past very much baked in, and before the team's first training session last week, we got together with designer and absolute legend, one of the founding fathers of the club, Marc Jones, just to talk it through.
Well, here we go into the inner sanctum, place where not many fans get to go. clearly unfinished at the moment. But you can get a look here at what the kit will look like come the big night. Kit that I was involved in getting to really reflect the old Plough Lane strips that we wore. So we've got the shoulders that were from the kit when we got promoted from the 4th Division as champions. The collar is reflecting the 88 season and the 1st Division, promotion to the 1st Division. And the stripes from the Glyn Hodges era, 84-5, promotion from the 2nd Division. And we've got 9 stripes in there to reflect the 9 years to get back into the Football League after the club was reborn in 2002. So a fairly sort of retro nod, but I think you'll agree, a dashing modern uniform for a very excitable Wimbledon. Voila.
The essence of 1988 there, built into our kit. And that's what I would expect from Marc, who's been an integral part of the design aesthetic of this club since day one. And you feel the kind of 1988 in that, don't you? In the new kit.
Yeah, there's something definitely in there with the nod, and it's brilliantly done. And I think we've got a model who can sort of just come on and show us where some of that inspiration comes from.
Yeah, look at this. I mean,
enter stage left.
People, look at this. Terry has the original tracksuit from the FA Cup final 1988, and the real test, of course, is that he can actually get into it still.
I haven't had any carbs for 2 weeks.
It's snug, but it's snug in a kind of modern, metrosexual type way.
My chest is a bit broader.
But it's fantastic.
I had no chance getting in the shorts.
No shorts.
They were the small part of the kit.
No, mate, don't put the shorts on.
Everything else was massive.
Yeah.
No, and I've kept this, and I came across when I knew I was getting involved with this tonight, and I thought, what? It's the original that we wore.
Yeah, a proper fine.
I don't know why we had a tracksuit top on the hottest day that I've ever played a game of football in, but it was the done thing. Make the record, wear the tracksuit.
Where was it? In a box or something?
Yeah, I've got a load of stuff that I've kept from every part of my career. A couple of big trunks that I've kept, programmes, newspaper cuttings, cup final boots, shirts, kit, charity shield stuff, and so one day it's going to be up to someone else to clean up.
All right, well, you might have been worried that the dressing rooms here at Plough Lane hadn't been finished, but they have, and they're magnificent. Take a look.
Well, this is very different to when we were at Sutton. Number one, it's a bit bigger, although Sutton's dressing room wasn't covered in concrete and building materials. But I remember I was talking to somebody the other day about the kit and remembering, I don't think we'd slept for like 3 days straight before the kick-off.
No, it was nuts. That whole day was nuts. It was brilliant. But it was a blur, but it was just a brilliant day.
Well, I designed the kit, worked on the kit, and the kit turned up in a one-size suits all sort of this big shirt, and we had to borrow. Obviously, we borrowed the kit off of Sports Interactive.
Yeah, we borrowed it from Miles, didn't we?
Which is why we was in the blue and white kit. But the bit that I always look back on and laugh about is the fact that as they turned round to walk out of the dressing room, I was like, Trev, there's no numbers on the kit. And you had to go into the referee's room. You'd been and seen him about 4 times to tell him that the kickoff was delayed, to let him know that none of our players had a number on their shirt.
It's going to be it'll be something special when we have this place full as well. I'm trying to think that will remind me of the Sutton game in a way, because it'll be the sort of a moment that everybody came together at the Sutton game. That's when you knew it was going to work.
I don't think you could have said fast forward. You'll be sitting at Plough Lane in a new stadium, in the dressing room. Trev's still chatting to the referees and getting the kit out. I'm still having a dabble with the kit design. It's pretty exciting to see how far we've come. But it still feels like yesterday to me. It
is. It's nuts as well. You look at it and you go. So you lose your football club. So what you do? 2 days later, you've started another football club. 3 weeks after that, you play your first game. A month and a half after that, you're in your league, and then you really couldn't write it. The story is too stupid and too over the top to write. So within 9 years, you're back in the Football League. Within 18 years, you're back at Plough Lane when everyone had told you it was impossible.
I mean, even when you get the privilege that I've had to come down and have a look behind the scenes before everybody's allowed in, it's not even a pinch yourself moment, because it's too far fetched for that.
Yeah, it's
not even kind of that touchable. When I walk around the back of the main stand, I'm like, You know, this is because you've got to remember we come from Plough Lane, right? So it isn't like we had a stadium like this taken off of us and then we went to Selhurst and then we went to Kings Meadow. We never really had this in the first place. And I kind of look at it and it's just bizarre that I know the people that work at the club, that run the club. You know, I get the manager ringing me up asking me about stuff to do the dressing room up for him, and you know, and all that's really bizarre. But it's just kind of it's too fantastic to even begin to think it's possible. Seeing it full up is just going to be.
So if you think what we started with literally us four, me, you, Chris, and Ivor in an office, and we were making it up as we went along. So we went, what do we need to do? And we were. And
well, you was the football nerd, right?
Well,
so
absolutely.
You knew we needed to do something, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
I was like, we need a pub and a football kit, right? And you was like, no, there's a bit more to it.
Play to your strengths. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
So it was literally. Marc, to give you an idea of the timescale, it was Marc messaged me on instant Microsoft Messenger the night before, said we'd lost, and then we'll go to Ivor's in the morning. And we went to Ivor's in the morning, and then we started doing it. It was literally we need to get senior status, we need to start doing this, and then we need a ground, and then we need. But it was all off the cuff, and then. But again, I always say this, and the four of us get a little bit of publicity. And again, coming back to what the fans did, we were dead within 48 hours. Once we needed everybody to buy into it, and everybody bought into it.
It was like a ball hitting a wall and bouncing straight back off of it, and using that kind of doom as an inertia to sort of to flip it the complete other way and go, how can we make something so heartbreaking joyful? And it's something that I've got mates that are Bury fans, and unfortunately other football clubs have had similar sort of instances, and I always say to them, it's not going to feel the same, but it's going to feel brilliant, and you've got to just get on with it. You've got to do it now, get on with it, and see where you can take it. Because, listen, do you want any more proof? Living, breathing proof? We're back home, man. That's just fans doing that.
I think it is, and I also think the thing as well. It felt right for me straight away, and as much as we'd done you forget before the Milton Keynes stuff, there was Dublin, and even there was Selhurst and stuff like that. So I think it worked so well because it was a reaction to something negative, and it was Chris's all I want to do is watch football sort of thing. It was that. It was just we'd lost, so let's do something. Let's do something positive, and I think that's why the ball got rolling so quickly, because it was a good idea, and it was people being able to watch football again, watch a Wimbledon football club again that was proud of being the Wimbledon football club, and knowing that because of fan ownership, it was ours, and if we lose it, it's our own stupid fault.
Well, by the Chipstead game, by the first kind of like proper AFC Wimbledon game, I was back in the groove, so I was 3 sheets to the wind, waiting for a football team to run out. But you were still behind the scenes at that.
Yeah, and it was less chaotic than Sutton, because I think anything was less chaotic than Sutton. But we had an idea, and again, we were locking people out. Chris is that one where Chris walked up and down and said, "I'm sorry, you won't be able to get in," and stuff like that. And we lost, of course, as well, which it really doesn't seem that important now. But it was, and again, a special occasion, because it was real football again. Sutton was amazing, but it was a friendly. This was a real league, and there was a real pathway there, and everyone had bought into it, and so many people. For most people, it didn't even seem to be a choice that people were making. It was like, well, this is the obvious thing to do.
This bit, the fact that we're coming back to Plough Lane, we've got so many kids now that never went to Plough Lane, or even grown adult fans that didn't get to go to Plough Lane. Yeah. And it's not about it just being remembering what it was like when we was a little bit up the road. It's back to being us in Wimbledon. We're not going anywhere. We're home, and that bit for me that's only going to get better and better. Of course, we've also built in that little caveat of we lost our first game at Kings Meadow, and it didn't matter. I don't want to lose our first game here, but the headline is football results aren't what it's about. It's about being home where you belong, and feeling like everything that you put into it belongs to you and can't be taken off you.
Absolutely.
Well, it certainly was in the dressing room, but that was actually Marc Jones and Trevor Williams discussing the early days of AFC Wimbledon, and got some great memories going way back. But what was the first time, John, that you kind of were aware of the Phoenix Club, the AFC Wimbledon side of Wimbledon? Because obviously it was big news about the relocation of the original club. How and when did you become aware of AFC Wimbledon, and did it spark your interest? Were you like, oh, this is interesting, or what were you thinking at the time?
Well, I think I was sort of surprised. I knew that the fans had created their own group, and there were some noises, and they were thinking about what they could do. And where was I? I'd finished playing in 2001, so I'd just retired, and I'd been at Ipswich, my last club. And it wasn't really until 2005 I moved back. I moved to North London, and I moved back to Wimbledon in 2005. And when I got back, the club was already established. I saw the news, and I saw the trials on the Common, and I saw all that excitement, but I was disconnected, I think, from the club at that time. When I came back in 2005, and people around the club knew that I was back, I'd worked with the Football Foundation. I was an ambassador for them. They're one of the big charities that put investment in facilities, and there was something going on at Kings Meadow soon after I got involved, and suddenly I heard about the club, heard what they'd been doing, and they were so far down the leagues that I didn't really, I think, in all honesty, take it sort of seriously that they would have such a meteoric rise back up through the leagues. I just didn't think it was possible. I'm sure lots of people didn't,
but you're a Wimbledon man. You know that we're going to do stuff like that.
I should have known better, shouldn't I? But you question it, and you think, they can't possibly do this similar thing to what was done, a couple of decades before. But you did get a sense coming back that the passion and the intensity, and it was the same group of fans that I knew. It was all the same faces, familiar faces. So the lovely thing about it was that I knew everybody involved in the club. I felt instantly back at home. I loved being back in Wimbledon. And it was I had this draw back. I'm from Yorkshire originally, so coming back to Wimbledon was special, and I'm still here with my family. So yeah, it was remarkable days. That's how I got back involved, and you hear there what it means to everybody involved in the club. The memories of those early days are just incredibly moving and powerful for everybody associated in that movement. It was a big movement, and you think back, to the over 10 years before when we left Plough Lane and demise, and then all the shenanigans and other things, and the FA and all the stuff that went on, for it to be resurrected and to come into the 9th tier of football, and then to be suddenly making this progress and making the waves back in English football at this level, incredible.
Now, I distinctly remember being at Molineux and handing over, not me, but we were handing over the Player of the Season award to Kevin Cooper. And the very next game that we played in Anger was at Sandhurst Town. 2,500, I think, of us went in there, and I stood on a bale of hay. I mean, that's one end of the scale to the other, isn't it? From that magnificent stadium to a bar around the pitch and a bale of actual hay. And I remember distinctly because Marc, who was in the film there, myself, Steve Elson, another fan, and Paul Silburn, another fan, rest in peace, God bless his soul. We contacted the club and said, can we sponsor the game? Can we be the match sponsors? And Sandhurst Town said, well, what's that? Didn't actually know what that was. So we said, well, basically, we want to give you a bit of dosh and hand out a bottle of champagne afterwards to our man of the match. And they went, oh, yeah, we can do that. Sorry, I'm just steaming up here. So we ended up in a porter cabin next to the pitch with a bunch of directors that didn't really know what to say, with a big bottle of champagne that we gave to another player called Kevin Cooper that particular game. Incredible memories. And from that to this, that's the transition. And so I think what's really interesting is some have said we've come to the end of the road here. We're back home. But for me, we've just got to the start line, not the finish line. This is the beginning of the next chapter. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it is. I mean, and there were two goals, wasn't there? To get back in the Football League and to get back to Plough Lane, or get back into Merton, certainly. And who would have imagined it would be just a stone's throw from the old ground? But it is incredible. It's a fantastic stadium, and testament to everybody that's been involved to that journey and all those memories that everybody's got in quite a short period of time.
It's about you. We really wish that this place was full, 9,000 Dons screaming on the first game. It would be an incredible atmosphere. But you know that when this place is open and you're here, that it's going to be a very special occasion, and that day will come. But meantime, we want your involvement, and we'd love you to send your videos in. Just tweet them at AFC Wimbledon. We'll take care of the rest, and we'll feature some of those a little bit later on. But John, I'm going to talk to you and Terry in a minute about some of the backroom stuff, because what we love at Wimbledon is kit men. And let's have a little word from our current kit man. Rocket.
How's it going to feel as a lifelong fan yourself, preparing for this monumental first game at Plough Lane? When you're back in here next week preparing for the game, how's that going to feel?
It's going to be emotional, I think, for everyone, and especially being in here. It's just surreal. It feels like we're preparing for a game at Wembley, sort of cup final or something like that. So it's just weird to think this is going to be our home for the next however many years, 100 years or whatever. So yeah.
Now, thanks to COVID regulations, we won't be able to be in here in the day, but we're hoping that you and Trevor might give us some updates as the preparations for the game carry on.
Yes, we'll try and give you some inside the dressing room pictures and videos. So yeah, watch this space.
It's obviously been a strange season. It must be very hard for the players playing essentially on their own. Obviously, it's weird for the fans only being able to watch at home. How have you tried to keep the players kind of spirits up and keep them connected with the fans, and how important is it to keep that bond there in these weird times?
We've just been sort of talking to them, telling them that the fans are behind us. I think we've done little things like we've had the flags at Loftus Road, and we're going to have the picture cutouts here. So the players know the fans are behind us, and obviously it's an exciting time. They're just disappointed that everyone isn't going to be here to watch it live. So yeah.
Obviously, as two fans who work for the club, two people that will be here at the start, do you have a message for those fans who will be watching this, engaging with it at home?
Just stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, exactly. We certainly will. And that was Rocket, our current kit man. And actually today, he tweeted this morning about meeting original kit man Sid Neal. Something about kit man, he's got to catch up with a kit man and talk kit. I mean, I would have thought you guys had to take your kits home and wash them yourself. And the odd sort of red sock, white top faux pas for away kits and stuff like that. But Sid Neal, we should talk about Sid Neal and some of the backroom staff, the legendary backroom staff. We love our backroom staff here at Wimbledon. It's not just about the great players, it's about those guys that support those great players. Have you got some good memories, Terry?
Oh yeah, great. I mean, it's every club you play for, those people are so important. And at Wimbledon, because it was such a small group of people, I mean, everything was based pretty much at the training ground. At the main ground, there was probably a staff of 3 or 4 people running the club. So everybody knew who they were. And then at the training ground, you would have Sid Neal. We had a part-time kit man, Joe Dillon. And he was probably part-time kit man because he had a Range Rover. And it was used to transport the kit around. And obviously, famously, he took the kit to White Hart Lane for the FA Cup semi-final because we didn't have a coach. A bus to take us to White Hart Lane. So Joe had the Range Rover, that was useful. So he used to work weekends. Caroline Brow was the lady physio masseur that used to come in on match days and help out. It was, and we had Vaughan Ryan, our former player. His mum was the laundry lady. And we were just discussing what her name was because we all called her mum. So it was that kind of community, that kind of feeling at the training ground on a daily basis where there was probably 6-7 people. You had Bobby Gould, Don Howe, David Kemp, the coaching staff. You had Terry Burton later on, and Ron Stewart was the chief scout. So there was probably no more, I would say, a dozen people at the training ground on a daily basis, and everyone was pulling in the same direction. All different personalities, all great to be around, all really helpful as well. Steve Allen, the physio. So it was a great little group to work with. As you say, it's not just about the players. Without that group of people, that the players, don't function.
My dad was a local doctor. He had a practice just on the corner of Aboyne Road and Garrett Lane there. And he told me that at one time the club asked him to be the doctor, but he couldn't commit to going on the road with the club. But I see Scales, he's wandered off. He's talking to Glyn, actually, but I was hoping to bring Scalesy in here to tell us a little story about club doctors.
Because George Cruikshank. And
that's right.
Yeah, George was very similar to all the other doctors I had at all the other clubs, either Scottish or Irish. Glyn probably had a Scottish and an Irish doctor along the way as well.
Oh, yeah, the Scottish one, yeah.
Scottish one, yeah. And it was you put your hands your hands were at their mercy on a match day if you needed stitching up. Because they did like a bit of entertainment.
They didn't numb it, they just stitched you. There was no numbing. He was a prison doctor from Wandsworth Prison. That was it, wasn't it? He was a prison doctor from Wandsworth Prison, didn't numb it, just stitched you.
And they've been enjoying the match day hospitality most of the time as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, chaps, you all right? All good? Yeah, good.
We're very well.
What's it like? What's it like?
We're actually going to look at some history. We'll come back to you in just a moment, Glenn. We're going to look at some history. We're going through 19 key facts about Wimbledon in SW19, and here's a few more.
To complete Plough Lane into arguably the best appointed stadium outside the Football League, floodlights, purchased 5 years earlier for £4,000, were erected on 8 pylons to enable midweek evening kickoffs. The lights were first tested with a London Charity Cup tie against Arsenal, who won 4-1. Having won the Amateur Cup the previous year, along with the 3 consecutive Isthmian League titles, the challenge of moving into the semi-professional ranks was overwhelmingly accepted by both voting club members and players alike. Southern League football was coming to Plough Lane. In readiness for their new division, Wimbledon played Guildford City in a friendly and were 4-0 down at half-time. But in a remarkable turnaround, Eddie Reynolds scored a hat-trick and new boy Paul Hodges a brace as the Dons won 5-4. They went on to gain promotion at the first attempt. Alan Batsford inherited 7 players, little money, and saw the previous Player of the Year emigrate to Australia. But he melded together a side that won 22 consecutive matches, put SW19 on the map, and, but for the weather, would have brought Leeds United back to Plough Lane for an FA Cup replay. Following a 3rd successive Southern League championship, and on the back of nationwide acclaim for their recent FA Cup exploits, Wimbledon were finally elected into the Football League and Plough Lane hosted Division 4 football.
Well, Glyn Hodges has just wandered off. He's got a job to do, obviously. We're going to hope to have a chat with him. But
quite a busy man tonight, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I was going to talk to you about the club doctor story. You told me a fantastic story about what were you doing in Sierra Leone playing football, and how did that unfold for you?
I suppose it shouldn't really be a surprise that we end up in the middle of, I don't know, the west coast of Africa after the cup final. We went out there on a end of season tour, and you know, we're playing in blistering heat. We've got these games in this stadium, massive stadium that's been built by the Chinese, but there's nobody in there really. Anyway, we play a President's 11 and we play another Select 11 or whatever else. 3rd game, I dislocated my shoulder. I fell awkwardly with about 10 minutes to go, and our doctor George Cruikshank, the mad Scottish doctor, who I've got to say I don't think anybody ever saw him fully sober. I suddenly realised that I'm lying down there in agony. He doesn't come on the pitch. I get taken to him. He's on the side of the pitch. I don't think he would have run on in those days. And I sort of quickly realised I had 2 options. Either I go to I was told was a very dodgy Sierra Leonean hospital, or I've got George with his breath stinking of alcohol a bit, and he's going to put his foot in my shoulder socket and put my shoulder back in. So I didn't have much of a choice, and I chose George, and thank goodness he managed the job okay.
Can't imagine that, popping it back into place with someone's boot.
Yeah, well, those were the days of
agricultural
simple things, but yeah.
We should talk about Alan Batsford. Of course, he paved the way for where we are now and brought Harry Bassett into the club. First division greatness, Leeds United, semi-finalists, and there was a pub, of course, the Batsford Arms. If there's any justice, we'll see that again.
Yep.
The Batsford Arms. Hopefully we'll get another Batsford Arms. But the boys definitely salute you, Alan Batsford.
Yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal, isn't it, what Alan did for the club, how instrumental in laying the foundations for so much of what this club has achieved. You know, you go back through some pivotal moments, and that was clearly one, and what an influential guy Alan was. Drunk in that pub a couple of times, and Nelson's and the Sportsman, and you know, it was a big part of the social side of the club was very important. But you can't ever take away from the fact that, you know, we played hard off the pitch, but we worked incredibly hard, and it was people like Alan and those seeds that were sown in the early days, all back to Sydney Black and Bedford, and you know, the whole thing is just really incredible.
Speaking of Sydney Black, no exaggeration to say that his impact on the club in the 50s and 60s and the climb up the leagues, it would never have happened. So the week before our first game, it seemed like a good time for a triumvirate of Dons fans, campaigners to return a memento from Sydney Black's time at the club. And here are WISA members Peter Bowles, former Dons chair Lou Carlton-Kelly, and former AFC Wimbledon steward and current Dons Trust board member Luke McKenzie taking a trip down memory lane as they remember back to 2002.
Smell it.
The road was long.
It's quite emotional, isn't it? Just looking around and seeing what we've achieved.
Well, you could not think about it too much or you cry.
It's fan power and fans of other clubs helping supporters get there as well. It's been quite amazing. So it's a well-known story.
It just shows that when the community works together, you know, we stick with it and we get where we wanted to be.
So do you remember, this is Wizard paid for architects to do it, didn't they?
Yep.
And I remember, I think Chris and Jonesy went round with Andrew Drudge from the council at the time and said we can build a football stadium here.
Yeah, simply by turning the ground 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So you've
And
got
all right.
Plough Lane here, and Durnsford Road there.
And we might have moved 200 yards down the road. It's not really changed, is it?
It's the same road, just
Not
over
really.
there.
And that West Stand, looking very similar to this, which was a complete mystery how that happened.
And who thought at that point we'd be standing here?
No, incredible. Yeah, it's brilliant.
So Pete, tell me a bit more about this and where you got it from.
So in the 1950s, the chairman of the football club was Sydney Black, and he paid for some building work, part of which was a building that this was in the wall of, this foundation stone. And so it was presented to the club by him back in 1958. And when the old buildings were knocked down, it was recovered with the help of the people who were doing the demolition, I think. And it's been kept safely for these past 19 years until we had a place to put it again.
So from WISA to the Dons Trust, you guys have been looking after this foundation stone for that time. How does it feel to be back here in the new stadium?
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, we've since we've recovered it, and we've been keeping it safe, keeping it ready for the day when we all hoped would come, and being able to bring it to its new home is just the most tremendous feeling. I don't think outside of winning the FA Cup, I don't think anything comes close to this.
So guys, obviously you're here in the new stadium now, but obviously on the 3rd of November when we play here for the first time, you're unfortunately not going to be able to be here. How does that feel?
Slightly disheartening, but it's just a fact of the way of the world in 2020. But the best news is that we've actually got our own ground and we're coming home. Brilliant.
And what an amazing achievement there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this, I think this just caps the journey from old Plough Lane to current Plough Lane. It isn't new.
Pretty amazing stuff to go from essentially a protest to a beautiful ground like this, Terry, and a lot of stuff happening in between. The foundation stone there, very important memento for this club, and showing what passionate, committed supporters we have here at Wimbledon. Pretty unique, actually, I would say. Don't you agree?
Yeah, and I think that's admired by football supporters all over the country, because, and let's go back to the beginning of this as well, it was an absolute, it makes me so annoyed, still angry now, what actually happened to Wimbledon Football Club. You know, how it was taken away and bought by another company and moved to another part of the country. And that was because it was one of the smaller clubs with a smaller fan base. The fan base that had dwindled after we moved to Selhurst Park, which was the beginning of the end. You know, that was a soulless place for us to go and play football. And then, you know, as you say, it started out as a protest, but it was a cause, and so many people got behind that cause. And then you see the joy on people's faces now that have been involved in getting us back to this position. And, you know, as I say, I think that so many football supporters, we became their second favourite team because of what a few people were doing to get Wimbledon back to where they belong.
Well, it definitely was a painful time for us. But in many ways, I've heard a lot of people saying it's a blessing in disguise. I mean, look where we've got to now, because we have this is home, it's a fan-owned club. And along the way, we've had some fantastic memories. And here are some messages from some of our older heroes. Check this out.
Evening Dons fans, it's Robbo. Just wanted to take the time to send you a quick message on this momentous occasion for the football club as you return home to Plough Lane tonight. What an incredible achievement. The stadium pictures look unreal and I can't wait to get down to see it soon. I'll be watching events closely from afar, and can I just congratulate everyone connected with the football club on taking another huge step forward in its journey. Enjoy the night everyone, catch you soon.
A long time coming, finally we're back home where we belong. Can't wait to see you all at games soon. Come on you Dons.
So the day has finally come, the Dons are going home, back to Plough Lane after all these years, and what a journey it's been. I think this stadium is just the icing on the cake for everyone's fantastic efforts, especially you fans who have followed this club through thick and thin, from non-league to League One. I know it's disappointing that we can't be there tonight, but as soon as the stadium's back open and fans are allowed back in, you'll definitely find me there, and I can't wait to enjoy a game there with you all soon. I'd like to say good luck to the players tonight, 3 points on the board, and come on you Dons.
We are back. We are home. We are Wimbledon.
We are back, and we want your messages to tweet them at AFC Wimbledon. Some of those are coming up, and we're going to continue looking at some of the facts, 19 facts of the Dons in SW19 continuing. Here we go.
Despite being about to clinch their first, and to date only, Football League Division title, April 1983 saw Wimbledon buy out the 1959 preemption clause from Merton Council for £100,000 in a bid to ease financial pressures. A year later, Plough Lane was sold to owner Sam Haman for £3 million. Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest had won the European Cup 2 years earlier, but they didn't appear to relish the battle under the Plough Lane lights from a hard-working Wimbledon side 2 divisions below them, and were beaten 2-0 in the Milk Cup. The Crazy Gang beat the Culture Club at Wembley to win the FA Cup. And less than 48 hours later, the famous trophy was paraded at Plough Lane during Alan Cork's testimonial. It wasn't the only thing paraded. A collective moon by the Dons players earned them an FA fine. The Taylor Report introduced new safety measures for football stadia, including the regulation that top-flight grounds be made all-seater by August 1994. The club board decided Plough Lane could not be economically redeveloped to meet the new standards. It would have been difficult and expensive, but not impossible, as the board later claimed it was during their submissions to the FA's three-man commission in 2002. Wimbledon produced probably the finest result of any Dons side in Plough Lane's rich and varied history when they destroyed Gary Lineker's Tottenham Hotspur 5-1, with 5 different goal scorers, including an exquisite Keith Curl free kick, and blitzed Spurs with 3 goals inside 10 second-half minutes. There was also the collector's item of a Terry Gibson header, and the final goal was set up by the man in the number 10 shirt, John Scales.
Now there's a special memory.
Wow,
wearing
I
a number
about
10.
That one.
Wearing a number 10.
I tell my kids about that every night. The day I wore a number 10 shirt.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
And Terry, a collector's item, that header, a collector's item described as there.
Yeah, to be fair, I nicked a few headers. I know it sounds hard to believe because I'm 5'4", but if you imagine it, Scalesy stand up, no.
Yeah,
if Scales and the ball is there, what is Scalesy going to do with it? You've got a choice to make, head it or kick it. For me, it's a...
I'd try and kick the head, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Good excuse.
The right height, I was lethal as long as it was close enough.
You particularly remember that game, though, as a sense of kind of, at the end of it, you know, you'd beaten a great club comprehensively at a little ground. I mean, what was the atmosphere like after that? In the dressing room?
Yeah, the atmosphere was buzzing in the dressing room always, you know, and we never bored of beating the big boys. I think that's the only thing you can ever say. We just relished every moment we had, and that was a classic example.
You know, they say that karma is a, you know what, and when I was on the PA at Selhurst Park one time, I had to announce 4 Jurgen Klinsmann goals against Wimbledon that kept them up, I do believe. Now, listen, explain this picture of yourself, Scalesy.
Well,
what's going on here?
That's clearly the start of my modelling career, and Gibbo, I think, had retired by that stage, so I guess I filled in for Gibbo and started to fill the...
That chair, it was our trainer's bench. Seriously, chairs on the trainer's bench were from Nelson's. So just
from
before
the pub?
The game, they would go and get 3 or 4
From
dining
the bar?
chairs out of Nelson's and stick them behind the advertising audience, and that was our dugout and the away team's dugout. That was the chairs.
And props and everything. They covered everything, yeah.
All right, well, look, let's have a message from the chair of the Dons Trust, Marc Davis. Very important message.
Marc, it's been an extraordinary year, but we're now 1 week away from the first game. As chair of the Dons Trust, what's your message to the people who've made this possible?
So my message is thank you. There's an awful lot of people to thank. I've been compiling a list and I just know I'm going to leave people out. But first of all, the fans and members who first of all told us they didn't want to stay at Kings Meadow, they wanted to come here back to Merton. A message we took on board. They've been patient with us over the last 10 years since that happened. They've supported us in the planning applications. They put their hands in their pockets. They've helped out in really practical ways. So first of all, thank you to all of them. Thank you to the volunteers, including the Plough Lane Bond team and all the other volunteers who've made this happen. Thank you to the boards who've spent an awful lot of their meetings and evenings over recent years just discussing this project and its enormous detail. Thank you to Merton Council who've had the backing, given us their backing throughout this project. Thank you to our commercial partners who've made it happen. Buckingham, Merton Catalyst, Galliard, Chelsea for buying the stadium for us, and a whole list. And then there are some particular people I want to thank, people like Erik Samuelsson, who really was the architect of making this project happen, and more recently Joe Palmer, of course.
And for you personally, you've been on the Dons Trust board for 7 years, and pretty much all of that time has been taken up with this stadium project, hasn't it?
So we've been working on the stadium project throughout that period. There have been, for me, 2 particularly intense periods on it. One was back in 2015 when we got permission to sell Kings Meadow from our fans through the Back in 2 Ticks campaign. I was closely involved in that. And then since the start of last year, 2019, when I've been chairing the stadium committee, really as it's got into the implementation, just making it happen. But it's been a lot of work.
And so in some ways, this first game isn't the opening of the stadium. Obviously, the real opening of the stadium will be when we can have fans back here. What's your message to people watching this first game at home?
So absolutely right. Our first real return will be when we can have all our fans and season tickets holders in the stadium. Next week is almost like a trial run, but at the same time it will mark the end of a 29.5-year diaspora for this football club to be playing a game back in a home ground in Merton. So it is still a very significant event, but it will feel a bit strange until we can have people in cheering on the crowds, that's for sure. My message is be patient a little while longer until you can get back in here. On the stadium that you can see behind me and the stand, there will be hundreds of cardboard cutouts of some of our fans. You'll be in here in spirit, and some of you will have a replica here.
And for you personally, the last 18 months in particular, this presumably has taken up a large portion of your life. What's your sense of achievement going to be when the team run out and this stadium is ours?
Huge amount of personal achievement, a huge amount of relief, I have to say. There have been various times when this project could have fallen on its backside over the last few years. That's true of every big project, frankly. There's always a stage when you think, whoops, what's going to happen? So relief, but personal achievement, pride for all of our fans for making this happen.
And when you look at this stadium and you look at the plans for the future and you look at what's happened with DLAG and the increased work that the foundation will be able to do and the club, what do you think this fan base and this group of volunteers and people working together can achieve?
So what we can achieve is immeasurable. I mean, I would never have believed, who would have believed, you know, when we started this club 18 years ago, that we'd be back in this situation, playing in our own stadium, let alone at Plough Lane, as a fully fledged member of the Football League. So what we can achieve as a fan base is fantastic. We've got fantastic community effort with the Football Foundation, with DLAG, reintegrating ourselves into this community after so many years away, and being fan owned has given us a raison d'etre and an identity like no other club has.
An extraordinary year, isn't it? Extraordinary, the things we faced. You can say?
No, I was just going to say, you know, back in the community, just not back in Merton, back in the community with DLAC and everything else and the foundation, it is really incredible.
Yeah. I mean, this year, a crisis averted with the Plough Lane bond, the fans, you guys, these guys came together to raise the money to help complete the stadium. Then the challenge of COVID, and of course, many of those that volunteered to put the effort into the bond then became community operatives, if you like, for the Don's Local Action Group. And the other day, our producer and cameraman Charlie caught up with one guy who was instrumental in both of those, and that's Xavier Wiggins.
So I've been involved with various groups since '97 with Worcester. It's gone through various demonstrations, Dublin, Milton Keynes, quite enjoyable, many of those, and then into the Bond and Don's Local Action.
When you look back though to the original Worcester days, the Worcester campaign was it's time we had a home game. Those were t-shirts that we were all wearing in 1997.
Yeah.
How does it feel now coming here and seeing this and thinking that's finally about to happen?
It's incredible, though I never had any doubts. I honestly didn't. I thought we would end up back here. I think many of us did, and that drove us. I think if I ever lost that hope that we one day play back in Wimbledon, I think my commitment might have wavered, but I was just never in doubt. I don't know whether that was naive or clearly not, right?
What led you to get involved with the Bond?
I think that 9th of December meeting was an incredible meeting in so many ways, really. It galvanised us. It's like the whole Milton Keynes thing. It was terrible, but it galvanised. Every terrible thing we've been through has galvanised us, and this is the result of that. So the thoughts on the night, again, weren't this is dreadful, we've just been presented with the only choice and it means losing fan ownership. I walked away from that meeting thinking, okay, that's given us enough, we'll go and do it ourselves. And we've always done that. It's not, other fan groups might not understand it, but that's what we do. There was so many people have played a part in this, you know, going back to the crowdfunding, to the bonds, to absolutely everything here, from stretcher bearers to turnstile operators to programme sellers. It really will feel, every single time I come here, when I come here with my friends, I come here with my family, every time I come here, it will feel that, do you know what, the people I'm here with have had a little bit to do with the fact that we're here. You know, every win that we get is more special because of the number of people that's involved with it.
What does it mean to you that the club's come back to Wimbledon and that circle's been completed?
This will be our first game that fans are allowed back. Will be the first home game we've had in 29 years, in my view. So it will be an incredible emotional occasion. I know it's heartbreaking that we can't all be here, but that will just make when we can come back all the more special.
You've just been part of the team that raised £5 million in the bond. You've got about 2 weeks to put your feet up, and then the coronavirus hit. What was the spur for the idea of bringing DLAG together? How did that come about?
I didn't have a clue what we were going to do. It was the 17th of March. I'd been watching the news. I sent a text to the WhatsApp volunteers group from the Bond that have been doing all the leafleting and standing outside train stations, and I just asked, I think we should do something. Who's up for doing something about COVID in the boroughs? And my phone just pinged. It pinged all day with people saying they wanted to be involved. And 4 days later, we've got a table outside Morrison's and a pop-up food collection point at Old Ruts. And before too long, we've got to 1,600 volunteers, and we've now taken over £4 million worth of food to homes. We've done 900 laptops, 150 houses for furniture. It's mind-blowing. We will remain consistent with the AFC Wimbledon Foundation, which is Merton, Wandsworth and Kingston. And we will, in terms of the main things that we do, it's 70% food poverty, it's keep kids connected and the digital poverty, it's the furniture, and mentoring begins after this half term. There are just so many DLAG stories. I got an email this morning from a lady, she's got three children, and she said that she'd noticed that we were doing some half-term activity for families that were having a problem. She'd already been asked by one of her kids what was for lunch, and she's in dire food poverty, and so at some point today there'll be a box that will go round to her house for her and her 3 kids, and that's the sharp end of what we're doing. We're able to respond very quickly, but we're only able to respond because there are so many brilliant volunteers. Look at what we've got here, but also the people that are giving the food. This is the community being generous outside the shops. It's not us buying it. It's them giving it to us, and without them, we couldn't do any of this. Hope it all goes away and no one's poor anymore. But whilst they are, we'll be here to help.
What can people watching this at home? What can they do to get involved and to be more part of what's going on?
Please, there are so many different ways of helping. Just go on the donslocalaction.org website and information will be there.
And for the 3rd of November, for this first game back here, what's your overriding emotion going to be as you watch that first game?
I'll be in absolute pieces. It'll be an incredible occasion. Even sitting at home watching it on the telly, it'll be an incredible occasion.
Yes, it is an incredible occasion, and the sound of boot against leather here is a joy to our ears, and we can't wait for everyone to be together for this and be inside this beautiful stadium, Plough Lane Stadium. I'm Chris Phillips. I'm joined by Terry Gibson and John Scales. We're going to have some of your messages a little bit later on, but please do keep sending them in wherever you are, and you'll see them, if not before, after the game as well. 2,500 people watching this tonight on YouTube, and big up my man Julian. There he is. He's in New York, and he's wearing his FA Cup top, and he said it's way more interesting than the election, and I'll go along with that. It's got to be, and less horror as well. But let's get some messages from some more ex-players.
Yo, what's going on, boys? It's your boy Adi Barakin from aka The Beast. You already know. Once former player, Mr. Beast Mode himself. Look, first game back at Plough Lane. Congratulations. Take it in. All the best. Bring home the W. Enjoy. 3 points. Keep it beast mode. Peace.
What an amazing achievement, effort from everyone involved at the club. It's amazing to see how far the club's come and to finally give the fans what they deserve and be back at Plough Lane. I'll be watching the game from home. I can't wait to finally come down and watch a game when the fans are allowed back in, and I'll be cheering on the boys tonight.
Hi guys, Joe Shearing here. Just wanted to wish everyone good luck for tonight. It's been a long journey home. We finally got here. Unfortunately, we can't all be there to celebrate as we'd like to, but I'm sure we'll do that soon. Just wanted to wish everyone good luck, and also congratulations to everyone involved, everyone who's made this happen. And especially to the fans who have been through so much and shown so much dedication and desire to get the club back home where it belongs. We're finally here, we did it. I just wanted to wish everyone good luck and a massive congratulations. So come on you Dons.
We are back.
We are home. We are Wimbledon.
Great to hear from some ex-players there, including Joe Shearing there, of course. And we want to hear from you, the fans.
Back to Plough Lane!
Cheers! Surprising, but it's
10,776 days. We're finally back home. I cannot believe it.
Back to Plough Lane!
Come on, you Wombos!
Hey, Womble from the USA here. Congratulations on the move back to Plough Lane. I'm going to be watching the game while I'm at work. Unfortunately, I have to start work at Pizza Hut in a few minutes, but I'll try to see if I can watch as much of the game as I possibly can. I've been a fan of you guys since 2018, and that's never going to change. I'm a Womble till I die. Come on, you Dons.
Forgot to go to Plough Lane, but the aggression and the support and the uniqueness of the fans and the environment at Kings Meadow, I hope it follows over to the new Plough Lane, because as Terry and John said, it was there at Plough Lane before, and we're going to make it happen again, and I can't wait.
Come on, you Dons, we're back to Plough Lane!
We are back. We are home. We are Wimbledon.
A little bit of floss in there at the end there, Terry. You do a bit of that?
no.
Really great to hear from you guys, and keep those messages coming in. But we're getting close to kick-off here at Plough Lane, so we are going to hear from Captain Will Nightingale and Joe Pigott now.
You've been with the club 17 years. Finally, we're going to be running out our home ground on Plough Lane. How does that feel?
Incredible. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's been a long time coming. 17, 18 years now. A lot of people behind the scenes have put in such hard work and dedication, and to witness this now is just going to be worth it. And I can't wait for everybody to experience it and for us all to be together with it. And this is such a massive chapter in the club's history, and now I just want us to kick on that next step, because this was always what we wanted and we was always going to get there, and it's incredible that we have.
How strange is it for the squad to be here, opening this ground, but doing it on their own without the fans in?
Yeah, obviously it's not ideal at all. It's not what we wanted, because this club's such a tight-knit community. We want everyone in it together, really. Obviously, we feel so privileged and lucky to be in this place, and we want to take the opportunity and make the club proud, really. So we just want the fans to know that we're thinking of them, and we can't wait for them to be back with us. And for now, we'll try and do the club proud.
And during the pandemic, obviously, there's been a lot of work by the foundation and by DLAG. You still feel connected with what the fans are doing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've done incredible. Like you said, over the pandemic, there's been quite a few different groups going. I know the Dons Local Action Group's done incredible. They're forever growing, and they're going to try and keep what they've done going as well. And it's amazing. For sure, it is a community, and we want to try and help out where we can off the pitch as well as on it.
You came in and joined the academy at the age of 8. Marc Robinson and people were telling the academy boys then, look, if you stay here, one day we'll have our own ground back in Wimbledon. Did you really believe that as a small boy?
Yeah, I mean, well, the story's always been instilled within us from early doors. Like you said, and any new player that comes and joins this club, they get given a strong brief about what the club's about, the history of it, and obviously the whole story with Plough Lane as well. And yeah, like I said, it's just another chapter in our story, and it is massive. And now I want us to really kick on and get back to where the club belongs as well.
For you personally, it's been a difficult year with injuries. Do you think you finally turned that corner?
Yeah, I've had a tough time over the years, obviously, as everybody knows. But over recent times, I think I've felt good. I've come back to this. I mean, it's annoying that I probably was joining back up with the boys just as we went into lockdown. So the timing for me has not been the best. But I feel fit, I feel strong, I feel good, and I can't wait to hopefully one day play here if I get given the opportunity.
Looking at the Doncaster game ahead tonight, that's quite a big challenge for the first game up here, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, but I think in this league, I think you have to go out onto that pitch believing that you can beat anybody. The league's so tight at the minute, and anyone can beat anyone, and you really have to believe that.
What message do you have for the fans sat at home?
Just to obviously keep supporting us from behind the scenes at the minute. You will be back there with us, and we all can't wait for that day to come. For now, we'll do our best for you, and hopefully, yeah, you can experience this. The sooner the better.
Who's going to score the first goal back at Plough Lane?
It's probably going to be the Pig, isn't it? Feed the pig.
How does it feel to be running out a new ground in a pandemic? Strange experience?
Yeah, very strange. Yeah, I mean, firstly, it's amazing to be here finally, and yeah, it's great to be a part of this journey that the club's been on. I mean, there's nothing we can do about the pandemic, but you know, the fans will come back soon.
What's your message to the fans watching at home tonight?
It's a bit of a dampener that none of you are here, but you know, this club's been on an amazing journey, and to have the first game at Plough Lane in the midst of all this is it's a great achievement for everyone involved, and every fan's played their part, and hopefully we can, you know, embrace that and take that out onto the pitch and get the win.
And you've been down here now a few times for training. You've had a chance to have a look around. What's the stadium going to be like as a place to play?
Yeah, fantastic. Obviously, not just stadium, but the pitch is amazing, and yeah, it's going to be a great place to play.
There's a lot of questions about who might be the first player to score at Plough Lane for Wimbledon since 1991. Is that going to be you?
It would be lovely, but I'm just happy as long as we get a result on the first game. So yeah, just need to get the win.
How different is it going to feel playing Doncaster here to the games we've been playing at Loftus Road?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Loftus Road's a nice traditional old ground, but as we know, it's not our home, and this has always been bubbling away in the background.
And you and the other players in the dressing room, how are you settling in here?
Yeah, no, we've settled in really well so far. We've trained here quite a few times now, and gotten used to the surroundings, gotten used to all the builders, but obviously they're only going to be here for a few more weeks. But yeah, no, we're absolutely delighted to all be here.
And finally, just a message to the fans watching at home.
You know, we're desperate to get the 3 points for you tonight, and yeah, we're so thankful for every part that everyone's played in this. You know, the bonds and just everything. Every fan's had an involvement in this stadium in some way or another. So yeah, we're absolutely delighted, and hopefully we can go on and make you proud.
Feed the pig and he will score. That's what we're hoping for tonight, of course, and great to see Will Nightingale in there as well. Let's take a look at the team news. Actually, we're not going to really discuss the lineup, but we can see who's playing tonight, and no, we can't. So we'll just keep going on that one. And one thing we can do is we can hear from the gaffer, Glyn Hodges.
Glyn, here we are. How does it feel to be preparing the team for the first game back at Plough Lane?
It feels fantastic. It seemed an age away, but it's come around so quick. And having a couple of sessions on the pitch, the pitch is playing well, everything's set, and it's just magnificent.
What's your message to the fans sitting at home?
Obviously, one of disappointment. It was a shame they couldn't share the occasion with us, and I think Ivor's made a valid point that it won't be open until they actually are back here. So. Hopefully they enjoy the footage, as it were, but you know it won't be the same without them, and you know we just can't wait to have them back and all share this together.
You've had a few training sessions down here. How does it feel? How have the lads settled in?
No, brilliant. I mean the pitch is magnificent. It's you know and the groundsman's been brilliant with us. You know it's nice getting used to the surroundings. The pitch side is at what we expected, the same as Kings Meadow. So there's little things that we're happy with, and. You know, it's just a great place to come and play.
And for you personally, you spent many happy years playing just down the road. How does this place compare to where you played?
It knocks spots off the old place. I mean, it was home, and it's brilliant, and we had some great times there. But you know, this is another level, and to have the foresight to build something like this is a credit to all those involved, and just proud to be part of it. And if we can try and mirror our performances on the pitch from the other place, then we'll be delighted.
How hard has it been so far this season? Obviously, playing as such a small group, essentially on your own. Do you still feel that sense of connection to the fans?
You do, but it's you know, I think the 2 away games we've got young players in. We had Yakko and Dan. Yakko's first win away at Fleetwood, and you share that. It's something you share with the fans, and you know, it was a hollow, not hollow. It was a win's a win. It was great in the dressing room, but there's something lacking, and it's you know, there's nothing you can do about it. You got to get on with it, but you know, we're more than ready for it to return back to normal if it ever can.
Looking ahead to the game against Doncaster, how big a challenge is that going to be as the first game here?
Well, I think it's our 3rd home venue after playing Brighton in the EFL Trophy at Crawley. That was technically a home game, so QPR have been brilliant with us. So it's our 3rd home game, not ideal, but you know, it don't care. We play. We're ready for this, and we can't wait.
Been a lot of speculation about this. Who do you think is going to score the first goal at Plough Lane?
I don't know. Listen, as long as we hit that back of the net, and I hope it's the first of like hundreds and hundreds. So it'll be interesting, and I'm probably as intrigued as everybody else is.
Even though everyone can't be here tonight, this is obviously the culmination of a lot of work for people from the trust, the club, most recently the Cedars campaign and the Plough Lane bond. So do you have a thought and a message to all those people who've made this possible?
No, I've already said, you can't thank them enough. I think it's impressive is, the actual scale of it and the size of it. We can play at stadiums in retail parks and outside towns, and they're soulless, due respect to them, but they're soulless. But as soon as you walk through here, the size of it, the quality, the build, everything about it is brilliant, and we just can't wait to get started.
Kind of put him on the spot there a little bit, asking who was going to score the first goal here at Plough Lane. But whoever does score that goal is going to go down in history, of course, and we're waiting for that tonight. But let's take another look at some important facts about the history of the Dons in SW19.
Rumours were rife before the game that Wimbledon would vacate their beloved Plough Lane over the summer and ground share with Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. So it rubbed salt into the wounds when Ian Wright's hat-trick gave the Eagles a 3-0 win in their final SW19 game on the 4th of May. The club had failed to score in their final 2 games at Plough Lane, which meant the last goal scored there by a Wimbledon player was by Andy Clark against Forest in a 3-1 win back on the 30th of March. After 7 years of being used solely for football combination and youth cup games by both Wimbledon and Crystal Palace, football finally ceased at Plough Lane. Crash barriers ended up at St Albans City, seats went to Corinthian Casuals and Hampton, while a turnstile was installed at Heybridge Swifts. During the protests in 2001-2002, after the move to Milton Keynes was announced by Charles Koppel and the club's Norwegian owners, Wizza drew up architects' plans to prove a new 20,000 capacity ground could be fitted on the old Plough Lane footprint by rotating the pitch through 90 degrees. This was ignored, along with the rest of the fans' evidence and submissions to the 3-man commission that sanctioned the MK move in May 2002. The ground was finally demolished in November of the same year, just as AFC Wimbledon were beginning their climb back up the non-league pyramid. Three years after permission was granted to build 570 flats on the site, and following lobbying by Wimbledon supporters, the long-delayed housing development opened as Reynolds Gate, in honour of prolific striker Eddie Reynolds. The 6 blocks were named after Alan Batsford, Dave Bassett, Alan Cork, Stanley Reid, Laurie Sanchez and Harry Stannard. But plans were already afoot to bring Wimbledon's football club back to Plough Lane.
Plans most definitely were afoot, and it's kind of impossible really to sum up all of the emotions and the things from the last 18 years in a couple of minutes, but that's exactly what we asked our media guru Carlo Rossi to do. Take a look at this.
Takes on Purdy and also plays the ball beyond Dale brightly. Wall is 10 yards back. Here goes to Butler. He struck it well. Oh, he struck it very well indeed. To win the final.
Penalty kick to take them into the Football League. The fairy tale is complete.
tell you what, if this is not in the wider interests of football, I don't know what is.
Those immortal words, not in the wider interests of football. I've actually found my T-shirt in a box with those words on from one of the earlier protests. But I mean, incredible words that will ring around in our ears for a while, but we definitely proved them wrong, didn't we, John?
Yeah, and you know, I think I read somewhere, you know, the bigger the crisis, the bigger the problems. I mean, listening to Xavier earlier on, you know, about that, was it the 9th of December, the meeting, and into March, and all the hurdles, and it's just been one thing after another. And I think when you look back, it's like Wimbledon as a club and with the fans is such an integral part of that. The bigger the mountain to climb, the bigger the challenge, the more they rise and rise to it. And it's, you know, the Don's local action group, you know, just that, the amount of money that has been taken in food, or was it 4 million he was talking about, the impact that's had on the community. So not just coming back into play in the Merton, it's the work that they're doing within Merton and Kingston and Wandsworth as well. But it's a remarkable night, it's a historic night. I'm gutted the fans aren't here, as Terry, we all are. But I know everybody's watching at home, and you know, hopefully they've enjoyed being part of and felt much closer to the action tonight and the birth of this fantastic new stadium. It's a great facility, and I didn't think, you know, we'd get there. You know, heard from one or two that kept the faith all the way through, and that's what's kept everything going, is that optimism, that faith, that belief and togetherness. And it's epitomised in so many areas of everything that's been done along the way. And like you say with those words, they're motivating. They're not. They haven't pushed people down at Wimbledon. They've made people rise to the challenge. Whatever's been said by the FA, by the press, by anybody who's written Wimbledon off, they've done it at their peril, because Wimbledon always bounce back stronger.
We're looking forward to kick-off here very, very shortly. They're playing We Are Wimbledon across the PA. Some of the directors are taking their seats here, some of these blue and yellow seats. In fact, the fans, you are actually here, some of you in person, and there's a whole raft of cardboard cutouts over there, including my one.
I think Gibber wants to join in the song.
Yeah.
He's got the words somewhere.
It looks like somebody's cardboard cutout had their head knocked off by somebody's practice shot or something like that. But Terry Gibson, give us some thoughts on, there's the sound of We Are Wimbledon reverberating around here. Really starting to feel like a special moment now, isn't it?
And it is, exactly that. John said it's a historic moment. I mean, and how many times in life do you think, I'm going to do something about this, and you kind of lose track and you don't do it? Well, all those years ago, a group of people decided to do something about it, and they continued to do it, and it grew and it grew, and more people joined the cause, and it's absolutely astonishing that we're all back here now in Plough Lane, back in the borough of Merton, and you know, it's a testimony to so much hard work and faith and belief that people have shown. And it's a great life story, not just a football story. And as John, we both said earlier, we're both privileged to be here tonight, and I look forward to the day when I can come back again and the ground is full up of supporters.
Well, the thing to say is we are going to be here up till kick-off, and then we're encouraging you to switch over to iFollow, and you can do that if you haven't already created an account or a membership. Go to the club website and jump on iFollow. There, of course, is a fee, and you can watch the game here tonight, the very first game at Plough Lane in 29 years in a new, beautiful stadium. Go to iFollow, where Mikey and Rob there will guide you through ball-by-ball action here at Plough Lane. And we're getting ready for the guys to come out. Just keep looking down at the tunnel here because it's a big, big moment. But let's have another little bit of VT and see what's happening.
Hi everyone, it's George Long. I just wanted to wish everyone at AFC Wimbledon the best of luck tonight on the return to Plough Lane. It's a fantastic achievement for everyone involved in the club, and I can't wait to get down and see a game soon. See you all soon, thanks, bye.
What's happening, Dons fans? Just wanted to celebrate with you all for getting the team back to Plough Lane. What an achievement for everyone. It's a shame you couldn't be there tonight, but I'm sure when the fans are allowed, the place will be absolutely rocking. And I'll be there with you at some point, and I'll be sharing a beer with you all at at Plough Lane in the near future. So enjoy tonight and congratulations on what you have achieved. Up the Duns.
Hey guys, welcome home. What a great achievement for everyone involved. I'll be watching from home, like most of us will, but hopefully soon we can all watch together. All the best.
Good evening, best wishes to Glenn and all the players for tonight's massive game. Look forward to seeing you at Plough Lane when myself and all the supporters can be there to cheer you on. Good luck.
We are back.
We are home.
We are Wimbledon.
Yes, we certainly are. And players slightly delayed in coming out here. We can't actually get down by the tunnel because of, as you might imagine, COVID regulations, but we do hope that you've enjoyed our little preamble here. Football focused we are not, but using the small resources that we have tonight, we've put together some fantastic memories and some good insights into AFC Wimbledon, the history of this club in Merton and SW19, and we really hope you've enjoyed it. Any sort of thoughts just before the game gets underway from you?
Yeah, I mean, you get your mind back on the game now, don't you? You get your mind back on, 3 points. Doncaster are well organised. They're a good side. A couple of points above. So, we need to beat Doncaster tonight, climb above them, get a good result, and get a good performance. And it's going to be intriguing. Hopefully we score first, and it's going to be amazing who scores that first goal. But, a big night on the football pitch, and that's what it comes down to now. Everything else that we've spoken about has been getting us to this point. We'll have another amazing night when the fans get into this stadium. Of course, that's something to really look forward to. But right now, I've got the tingling sensation of a football match here. Wimbledon have got to win it. They've got to start on the front foot, show no fear. But they'll be motivated by being back at Plough Lane, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important to get off to a good start, isn't it? You want to get a goal as quickly as possible. You want to get a win as quickly as possible, and to make this place your own place. I mean, tonight we're going into a game where it's like the away game for both teams, isn't it? In theory, Wimbledon have never played here before. Doncaster never played here before. So I think it'd be good to settle down as quickly as possible. Start picking up points at home.
Yeah. We hope for it to be Fortress Wimbledon, of course, but I can imagine the pressure on the players to actually perform and put in and get a win tonight must be something as well, actually. Must be quite something. You've probably experienced something along those lines many, many times in your career. I hear the sound of the boys are back in town, and they most certainly are. Please welcome Wimbledon and Doncaster Rovers. Come back to me on camera.
It's going to come back to you after this, just to say, go over to our team and see you after the game.
Well, we'll be here after the match, and no doubt we'll be discussing, hopefully, a successful game for the Dons. Either way, it's an momentous occasion, and we'll invite you to join us again. But switch over to iFollow now and catch all the action of tonight's historic game here at Plough Lane. Thanks for joining us.